Tuscaloosa.
This is The Miller's Edge with Christian Miller, two-time national champion and team captain for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and former Carolina Panther, and his father, Corey Miller, the pastor of pain, a 9-year NFL veteran with the New York Giants and University of South Carolina Hall of Famer. This is The Miller's Edge.
And welcome into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope everybody is doing well. Got some better weather today, a little bit more sunny out, a little muggy with all the rain that we've been having, but nice to finally see the sun. Chase, I'm not sure what day you got back in town, man, but I kid you not, I feel like over the weekend, every day I was waking up to like some crazy thunder, man. Like early in the morning, there was some crazy thunder, and it was pouring. Probably needed some of that rain, but now it's definitely it's hot and humid with the sun coming back out. But anyway, nice to have that. Which leads me to get into a funny little story to kick things off, man, because I love walking my dog. It's something I try to do to not only get myself some exercise, and shout out to the Good Feet store. I might as well go ahead and tell you about them because they help me out when I'm going on these walks with my dogs, and when I'm choosing to go out there and run. I'm always rocking my Good Feet Arch Sports because their premium arch sports are designed to eliminate and alleviate all that pain. So I'm able to walk my dog a number of laps and miles, however long we stay out there, pain-free because of these arch sports. So make sure you guys check them out. Midtown Village is where you can find them here in Tuscaloosa, or you can always go to their website, goodfeet.com, to schedule an appointment. You see it right here on the stream. Type in your zip code, find the nearest location here in Tuscaloosa, Midtown Village. You can't miss it right there off McFarland, but you got one in Birmingham. You got one in South Alabama. They're all over the country. We got folks all over the country listening to the show. So, guys, make sure if you're in any type of pain, foot pain, knee pain, back pain, you name it, check out the Good Feet store. If you're like me, you're walking your dog all the time, you'll definitely want these. If you're on your feet, working all the time, or you're just dealing with some nagging pain, I'm telling you got to check them out. Everything starts from the ground up. So go ahead and let them take care of you. You'll feel more balanced. This is a personalized system. They'll get you right. They'll show you your arches, and let those arch sports get to work. Again, that is the Good Feet store, improving the quality of people's lives 2 feet at a time. So I mentioned I was walking, right, Chase? So I was walking my dog, and I'm getting in some exercise. So I shared the story, a few weeks ago. We had to take him into the vet. He wasn't feeling great. They're running some tests, and we were a little nervous on what it was. He ended up being just fine. But one of our goals is to get him to lose some weight. I mean, he's a full-blooded lab, 3 years old, but he's about 135 pounds, Chase. He's a big dog. And it's not like I'm overfeeding him or anything, or power feed him. No, like this dog is just a big dog, man. I went back and looked at some of his puppy pictures because people were asking about him. Because everybody's like, man, he's a beautiful dog. He's got this these deep red tones. He's a fox red lab. But anyways, I was looking at his pictures, and his paws were huge, and I should have known he's going to be this big. But anyway, so we've been walking a little bit extra, right? We're really trying to get him his steps in and get him some good exercise. So I was walking yesterday, and I live in a nice area. There's a lot of activity where people are walking all the time. So I run into I would say neighbors, but she doesn't live in the neighborhood. She lives in one of the neighborhoods nearby. They're very similar, right? So anyway, she's got a dog, and so I let Leo sniff her dog a little bit, and they're kind of interacting, and we just were talking about dogs. Normal 2-minute dog conversation, right? Oh, what kind of dog is he? Oh, he great dog. My sons have big dogs, stuff like that. And so then, Chase, it takes a turn, right? And this is the Talking Tuesday, so this is why I'm sharing this quick little story real quick. So it takes a turn, Chase. So I think I filled you guys in, but recently I purchased a Tesla, right? I've been hearing about, the vehicle, right? The self-drive and how much you can save with all this stuff. So I've been hearing so much, and I finally was like, you know what, man, they're at a value right now because, they're a lot better in value than they were in the past couple of years. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and grab one. I found a really good deal on one. I liked the look of it is what I was looking for, the specs and everything. Boom, got it. So she goes, so I see the car, right? And I just have to ask, does that have anything to do with political affiliation. And I immediately stopped. I said, ma'am, I don't do politics. I said, I said, it has everything. So I had to ask because, I didn't know if that means you like Elon Musk. I'm like, I said, no, what it means is that I wanted to save money. I wanted to save money each month, not only not going to the gas station, but also it's calculated. I mean, like, I'm going to save probably about $8,000 this year alone just by driving. So I'm like, no, not to mention this car has, self-driving features and stuff. I'm like, I could care less about who's making the car. So I bought the car because I wanted the car for the car itself. And then she kind of was going on about that. And I was like, you know what? I said, so I kind of just start wrapping it up. What's crazy to me, Chase? I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this lady is like twice my age. And I'm like being the mature one here. And then I'm thinking, I'm like, even if that had some type of affiliation, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Like, what was she going to just like stop talking to me, or like, I don't know, like start judging me or something crazy? This was the craziest thing, Chase, because I'm like, it just made me think about this. Like, we're in a day and age where like people just are too comfortable. I'm like, why would you feel comfortable enough to even ask somebody that? You know what I mean, Chase? Like, it was the weirdest. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, that has nothing to. I'm literally like thinking in my head, I'm stopping here talking with you. I'm being so nice, like, just being a nice, friendly neighbor, quote unquote. And I'm like, that's what you're thinking about? The craziest thing. And I really couldn't get over it because I'm just like, what next? Like, and then I'm like, maybe you're extreme enough to go purchase something that costs thousands of dollars just because you like said owner or whoever it is. I said, but I'm not. I'm not an idiot. I don't go, oh man, I like this guy. Let me go purchase a car worth thousands of dollars just because of the guy that makes it. No, I'm not. No. If anything, I'm doing that. I'm buying it because the money it saves me. I'm not just going to waste money because of the owner. And then the last point, Chase, is if she was so into politics, like she was, I guess, alluding to, she probably would understand that him and Trump just had a falling out publicly, right? Where they're not even on the same page, and he's not even working with the Doge department that he initially was working with. So I'm like, so is it okay again to have him? And what about the millions of people that had him before, and he was affiliated with any politics? I don't know, man. It is just the silliest thing. But I will say one thing: think twice before if you even have a thought about touching my car. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Chase, but that came up, and I just was like, I gotta vent about this because I was like, yesterday, man, I handled it very mature. I just was like, I kind of shut it down. I was like, I'm not gonna get into this, but then I'm like, you know what? Now I'm gonna bring it back up on my show tomorrow, and I'm gonna actually be a little petty because I'm like, it really bothered me that people literally twice my age are immature and feel comfortable enough talking about stuff like that with no, like, for nothing. I don't know. I mean, can you believe that, Chase?
No, not at all. Like it's come to a point where anybody is approachable. Like you could have
Yeah,
been having a bad day, and you really
100%.
could have just gave her it all, but you didn't because you're a very nice and genuine person. But I don't know, because sometimes I'll be stopped in a grocery store or whatever, and I'm just minding my business, and
Mhm.
like maybe something a brand I'm wearing, or like I'm listening to music, and they'll look over my phone. I'm like, I did not want to talk to you. Like I want to go home in a nice way, but yeah, man, that's crazy that happened to you. I'm sorry about that, Christian.
Like politics right now. I'm like, dude, like really? Like I don't know. Weirdest thing. But I will say it is a talking Tuesday, so I felt that I could share that story real quick. I guess the moral of the story is, can we get back to not being so obsessed with people's political affiliation or views or whatever, unless they're just being an excuse my language, an asshole, or like, somebody just like being a jerk. Like, don't just go out asking people and do that's weird, man. Like you just said, like people have bigger fish to fry. There's so many other things going on that we could be talking about or coming together on. Let's not over the type of car somebody drives. Like people are weird, man. Sorry. All right, we got to hit a timeout when we come back. We're gonna get into this football talk. I got a video for us. Obviously, yesterday we talked a lot about the new NIL legislation. We got to piggyback off that a little bit. I'm surprised I didn't get as much feedback on that. I thought you guys would be lighting up the phone lines wanting to talk about it because, again, I mean, we're talking about some major shifts in college athletics, not just football, all sports in general. So I found a video. It's from On3. You got Pete Nakos and JD Piquel. They're kind of breaking it down a little bit. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because I think Pete Nakos is kind of going into a little bit more detail on kind of what is really happening, right? Even before, like leading up to this legislation and how it still probably is going to look. You know, he's like the insider guy now, right? So he's going to share some details of that kind of behind the scenes type deal. So we're going to listen to that. We'll break that down. And again, I want to get y'all's thoughts. I want to know what you guys think. Or do you think college athletics is ruined? I mean, we talked about that, but let's bring it back up to the table because now there's an official legislation going on that athletic departments are officially permitted to pay players, right? I mean, that's a big deal, guys. We got to talk about it. So we'll do that on the other side of this break right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
If you find yourself in a wreck, keep three things in mind. First,
Q, what's up? Justin, what's going on, man? Couldn't jump me over the card. No, it wasn't like, I'll say this, it wasn't like aggressive. You know what I mean? It was more so just like, it definitely was very, very much Karen. It was giving Karen. But it was just like, oh, well, I see the card. Does that mean you? I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, lady, do you think I'm dumb enough to go, oh, man, I like what this guy's doing. Let me go buy one of his cars. That's thousands of dollars, right? Like, we're not talking about a sticker. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about a whole car. Like, you might be extreme enough to do that, but I'm not. Hell, I've driven GM like my whole. I don't even know who the CEO of GM. I don't even know. I have no idea who that is. No, and honestly, could care less. I like GM trucks. Like, if anything, I'm like, dude, my truck that's jacked up, and I mean, come on now. I mean, what do people mostly assume when they see a jacked up truck? Like, they're like, oh, literally a massive jacked up lifted truck. They love baiting you into political discussions up here in New York, that's for sure. And maybe that's what she was trying to do. And you know, I was saying I don't do politics. What's crazy is like I'm very well versed in politics. I'm very much, you know, informed. But what I was telling her is, like, I'm not doing, like, I'm out walking my dog, lady. Like, why the hell do I do? Like, first of all, the election's over and not for several years. What the hell are we doing talking about that right now? I don't know, man. I do know that some of these folks around here listen to my show. So if you guys want to relate that to her, I'm just kidding. No, it's not that deep. Like I said, I handled it the right way yesterday, but I just had to be petty on here a little bit. Just to be funny a little bit. I promise. I'm just being funny. Dang, 25 pounds overweight. Sounds like you might need to get on a little walking thing like me, Mike. Not you, but I'm saying with the dog.
RV.
I don't even know what he would be. What's crazy is like he's overweight, but he doesn't like look like he definitely looks big. Don't get me wrong, but he still has like some muscle definition, you know.
Because, you know, mold.
We clean out the fridge and take the.
Since we have callers, Chase, let's just do the calls first before we get into this video. We'll just jump to them.
Other insurers not available in all states and situations.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical
I can put the F-150 in 65 South. Oh no! Like I said, it honestly was. I wouldn't say funny because it was annoying, but I would say it's more annoying. Like I just was like, this is so silly.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even.
Yeah, you can get on the phones every day. I know sometimes we, you know, if my dad's on here, we'll be talking a lot, but Yeah, we got
Tide 100.9.
we've got two lined up right now.
A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Just a few widely scattered showers or thunderstorms through the evening
We've
hours.
got two
The
lined
high
up
today
right now, so if you
85,
wanna
tonight's low
wait,
64. Tomorrow morning sunshine. A few spots
couple
could see an
minutes, I can let
afternoon
you know
storm.
once-
The high 88. I'm James
once it
Spann of the
clears up
ABC
a little
30
bit.
to 40 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 80 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support experts. First segment, I definitely did some talking. I had to talk about something to get it off my chest, right? A little interaction yesterday about a whole silly political thing. But again, not looking to do politics. We're looking to talk sports, and that's what we're going to do. So we got the whole NIL legislation going through. We're about to play that video, but we already got folks lined up on the phone line. Obviously, you guys got some thoughts on it, so I want to hear your thoughts. So we'll do that first. Let's go ahead and do that. 205-342-9904. First up on this Talking Tuesday, we've got Pat. Pat, welcome in.
Hey, man.
What's up, Pat?
This NIL thing, it just don't seem absolutely sustainable at all because it's not $20 million plus additional money. It's $20 million plus out of the budget each year. And I understand this past year at Alabama lost money, but I mean because you had Coach Saban's coaches going out, Coach DeBoer's coaches coming in. There was extra money being spent, and that may have been part of it. But you got a girls softball team that lost over $3.5 million last year, just softball. Hey, although it costs a lot of money to carry those boats and things, and now they want to talk about going as much as 50 plus scholarships for rowing. Good Lord, when I can't, hey, now I like crew, okay? I call it crew. I don't call it rowing. And when I first came to Tuscaloosa, and I saw where Auburn was going to be at a regatta with Alabama down on the Black Warrior River, I got my tent, and I got my cooking tools. I got down there, and I was the only person there. Now, there's people lined up and down the Black Warrior nearly on both sides to watch it.
Yeah.
But when I first came to Tuscaloosa 20 plus years ago, I was the only person there watching it.
Yeah, it's grown.
And but we cannot sustain this kind of deal because again, they can't figure out how to make money off a crew. But I mean, I guess they could go down anybody that parks down there for a couple of 3 days before and after. You charge them $5 to park along the river. I don't know if we can get away with that or not. But hey, something has got to be done. All these sports, if they can't generate funds, they got to go.
Well, don't say that, Pat, because that would be damn near every sport. I mean, I will say I agree with.
But that's pretty. But Christian, look in reality. Look at it. You get Title IX, okay?
Right.
If we got 100, for argument's sake, they drop our roster down to 100 players. That means we got to have 100 females at something. And then, okay, now let's go. We got, for argument's sake, giving 15 basketball players. I think he can go to 20, but let's call it 15 because you don't need more than 15. But you got 15 basketball players. You got 115. You got to have 115 women. It's got to be equal. That's according to Title IX. Is that not correct? About give or take a little bit.
I believe so.
All right. Let's say for argument's sake it is. That means just about everything else. You could have the boys in track got to go. The boys golf unless our fabulous pro players that are in the that are in on the tour, unless they're willing to pay for it, golf's got to go. We can't afford it.
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, that would be like literally every sport is pretty much, not making anything
Yeah.
other than football.
Yeah.
I mean,
Swimming,
this is what I just
swimming
pulled
and
up.
diving. I love swimming and diving. Lord, God knows my credit cards went up, and I had a son that traveled all over the Southeast swimming in Okia Sugar Bowl down in New Orleans, won 2 gold medals there. But so
Nice.
what? That and $5 to get you a fancy cup of coffee at the Starbucks. It don't mean nothing. And because unless you're swimming in the Olympics, it doesn't really mean anything.
Right.
And so I mean, you get right down to it. I mean, hey, you got if you don't have places for those kids to grow to get to where they can be Olympic swimmers, then we won't have that either. But we cannot afford it. I want college football is the bell cow. It pays for everything. Basketball, Alabama basketball probably pays for itself. We could make it pay for itself because when we don't have butts in the seat, we could be giving away tickets to where they come in and buy a $11 souvenir, $12 souvenir cup, and a $5 hamburger or $6 hot dog and make money. But we don't have anybody that's as smart as Sarah was with gymnastics. Sarah put butts in the seat. She was making money by selling them little girls popcorn.
Fair.
Am I right? That's fair.
Yeah, well, I was going to tell you. So I got this pulled up. So last year, in 2024, football and men's basketball were the only 2 sports, which we already knew that, but here are the numbers. Football generated $140.6 million in revenue while spending $113.8, obviously resulting in a surplus of about roughly $26.8 million, I believe.
$20 million at least.
Yeah, so it's about 26.8. Sorry, I like doing math, man. All right, men's basketball is 20. I'm a math nerd sometimes. Men's basketball is $21.3 million in revenue while spending $15.3, so about roughly $6 million in the positive in a surplus. So between those two, so what we say about 27 roughly or 26.
So this is close to $30 million, $28 million, 28. Yeah.
Well, yeah, just shy of it, about $33 million.
Yeah, and
I was
going softball losing. Go ahead. You got any other numbers?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say I don't have the specific number on softball, but it does say women's basketball ran a $4.2 million deficit, and all other sports combined lost more than $21 million. So, I mean, last year I want to say we were still in a negative. Yeah. What's interesting is one report said that we were in a negative. Wait, hold on. Here it says it right here. So, Alabama reported $234.8 million in revenue for the athletic department as a whole in 2024 and $262.8 in expenses. So, I don't know what the rest of that is. So, here it is. Deficit of $12.1 million in 2023. That number grew. So, there was about a $28 million deficit last year.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is not sustainable. That we don't have Jimmy Rain in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, I buy a whole bunch of his 2x4s. I'm sending money to Auburn every time I do. I mean, but you know what I'm saying? That sounds like I'm being a smart aleck, but that's just the truth. Every time we buy a 2x4, we send in Auburn some money.
Well, you know what's interesting, Pat?
I got no choice. Go ahead.
Well, I'm reading this. It says Alabama also operated in a $21.2 million deficit in 2019, the only fiscal year between 05 and 22 in which the department spent more than it made. So it seems like we're kind of trending in the wrong direction, unfortunately.
Yeah. And
I mean,
but is that due to? I mean, I don't think, because I think that most of Alabama's NIL deals, most of them have been legitimate. I mean, during your break, I just heard Jalen doing another car commercial for here in Tuscaloosa. Undoubtedly, he worked, and it's smart that players are high profile players and things that and hey, if I was that boy from up in Northridge that Hawks the biggest cactus in town, that hey, I'd still, as long as they was going to give me a free taco, I'd be talking about it. Hey, because that's for life.
Are you talking about you talking about Wilkin Formby?
Yeah.
His family owns that business, right?
Oh, I don't know. I got no idea.
His family actually owns that business.
That's okay. Then he needs to be. Then he needs to be helping mom and dad out.
But I had an interesting point about this, or a question that came to mind with him doing that. So when it comes to like the NIL deals that are over $600, they have to be approved. I mean, technically, since those are his parents, I feel like they could just pay him whatever they want.
The clearinghouse ought to just sweep that right under the rug for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be a little bit different. I mean, his parents could give them whatever money they, as parents. Obviously, as a deal, it probably look a bit different.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. But again, I mean, and him being where he's at, and I'm projecting him to be the right tackle. Oh, I could be wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm projecting him to be there too. I think he's coming along nicely. I mean, still got some things to keep working on, but yeah, right now he's the lead guy at right tackle for sure.
Yeah, it's going to get significant playing time anyway.
Yeah.
But getting back to this money situation there, I just don't see where, because I mean, Alabama, he came out and I like what he said. He's going to fully fund the program. However, I don't see where it's sustainable for us to fund this program, because running what little numbers I've heard some of the talking heads with your radio station, or our radio station, that you talking, instead of $20 million cost, you're going to be talking about a $56 million cost, and it's not. We can't do that.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And we'll dive into this here in a little bit, because I was even thinking, like, I mean, where's the line in terms of like receiving donations, right? You always have donors to, people wanting to have things named and things like that. Well, I'm starting to see there's a couple of schools that are already doing this. They're setting up like private entities or equities. I forgot what the word or what it's called, but meaning where people, I guess, can basically donate to these schools in a way.
I'll come up with a way to raise a bunch of money. Is that we have 15,800 student tickets. Okay, a student ticket costs $37. The University of Texas just raised all of their tickets across the board $13 a piece. All right, we raise our student tickets to $50, which is still a fantastic deal. But in order to get the Oklahoma ticket, they got to buy the La Monroe ticket. And that's just the way it is. It's part of life. I sent my boys here. Both of them, every semester, my cost of my oldest son, that is now a lawyer, it costs me 10% going up every semester. If I pay it, somebody else can pay it too.
Yeah, and you expect that. I mean, rent goes up every year. It's expected to. I mean, you got to keep up with inflation, things like that. So, I mean, I get that. I just hate it for the fan, though. I'll be honest. I hate it because.
Well, it is what it is. It costs to be a sports fan at the University of Alabama or anywhere else in the SEC. But now let's get over to that. There's 1,300 tickets that go to maybe athletes and a band. The band should get their ticket free because they work 20 plus hours a week prepping to do a halftime show. If you're going to have that, they ought to get something for it. So their free ticket ought to be it.
You're saying if they're not participating? I mean, if they're participating, I mean,
no, they're participating. I said the band is participating in the.
No, but you said them getting a free ticket, though. I'm saying their entry's free if they're playing.
That's where I'm coming from. All right, but because I'm saying that's 1,300 tickets that go to band and or athletes and our student athletes. You take away that student athlete ticket, that again, that's.
Oh, you're referencing the families. You're talking about the families.
Well, I don't know about families. That there's 1,300 tickets besides the 50 or in within the 15,800. I looked at it hard the other day, and but if you were getting just $50 a ticket for those tickets, that then they'd be considered just like regular students that have to pay for their ticket, and that would either generate another $1.3 million. That and then you up the student ticket to $50, and you're talking about generating $3 million that toward that 20 something. I mean, toward that 50, whatever how many millions you got to go up. I'm just saying that's $3 million more that's right there for the taking, and it ain't that big a deal.
Well, yeah, trust me. I hear what you're saying. I mean, you're right. Unfortunately, that's probably going to be one of the first steps they take. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, when you're trying to come up with more money, there's two ways to do it. Obviously, you cut budgets. Number one, and number two, you increase costs. We're going to see a little bit of both in terms of the schools, or excuse me, the sports programs. I mean, you could look at potentially converting some of those programs to club programs to help cut those costs, but find a balance where you're not getting rid of the sport entirely. The problem is, you do have to still consider Title IX. That is something to think about.
Yeah. How much does the Crimson Tide cost us? Not Crimson Tide, Frozen Tide. How much does that cost us? The hockey, Alabama hockey team.
Oh, so they're a club team. So I think maybe they're generating their own. Is that how club works? I mean,
I have no idea. That's my question. Because if there's male soccer at Alabama, it's a club team. If there's rugby, there's a club team. Yeah.
A lot of those are club teams. I'll look it up and get you a definitive answer on that. But yeah,
like I said, unless we make a lot of these other things club teams, we can't afford. This is not sustainable. If we're going to have a winning football program that pays the bills, you've got to do the hard cuts.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We're going to see some, unfortunately, man. That's why it's going to be a little bit of a shakeup. We'll know more in the next month or two because again, I mean, the first payments are going out July, so they've got about 3 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah, you have a blessed afternoon. Thank you for taking my
man. Thank you, Pat. Oh, no, I appreciate it, man. It's Talking Tuesday. Good deal. All right, we got to hit a timeout. When we come back, we got Carson up next. Q, if you want to hop in, you'll be right behind Carson. And we're going to keep on rolling. We still got this video to get to dive in a little bit of some of the really behind the scenes I think Pete Nakos dives into. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. But keep rolling with you guys because this is Talking Tuesday on the Miller's Edge right here. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
One night, two country legends, Pam Tillis and Lori Morgan. The Grits and Glamour Tour. Saturday, June 28th at Pearl River Resort's Silver Star Convention Center. Get your tickets now at pearlriverresort.com.
Are you in econ? Nah, but you'll probably learn some econ in here. Nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, that's the whole basis on all this stuff, right? What's up, Tristan? Yeah, you gotta be careful, Southern. You are behind enemy lines.
from themselves. We are here for the achievers.
Who are resilient
and won't take no for an answer. We're here for the coaches,
athletic trainers, and mentors.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like econ for sure, man.
Of legends. We are here for you.
But I mean, that's part of it, man. I mean, like the money's got to come from somewhere. I mean, that's what this consists of. You know, we're just breaking it down, trying to see if we can map out what it might look like for you guys as fans. I mean, when I say you guys, I'm just saying. I mean, I do broadcasting, so
Alabama Department.
I mean, and let alone, I mean, I'm blessed where I don't even remember the last time I paid for a ticket. That's why I said
the
that.
Alabama Department of Labor is an equal opportunity employer program.
But that's why I'm always defending you guys, because I'm saying like stuff is not cheap, and just because prices go up doesn't mean our pay is going up.
Today, just a few widely scattered showers or thunderstorms.
But there's a good chance. I mean, we saw what Tennessee was. It was Tennessee. I think last year they had some type of tax. It was like some student athlete tax. I think they were putting on tickets.
I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 81 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back to the Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're still talking about this settlement, man. We're getting y'all's thoughts. We just heard from Pat. Pat had a number of ideas on ways to try to, balance out this new, budget, right? $20.5 million is not just going to come out of anywhere. They got to find a way to generate that, especially when you're talking about operating in a loss, in a deficit. It's got to come from somewhere. I looked up other programs to see kind of, where do other teams stand? I don't know how accurate this is, Chase, because it has Alabama on here, 214 versus 195. But what we just read, excuse me, was just saying that we actually were in a deficit. It was quite the opposite. So I don't know how accurate this is, but it does state that, the teams it has on here, Ohio State has them in a positive. Texas, it has them in a positive. Us, Michigan, Georgia, LSU. So what I'm getting at is a lot of these big programs that you kind of would expect, right? Don't know how accurate that is, but I would imagine a lot of other programs are definitely going to be a negative. So where are they going to get the $20.5 million? Probably going to see some cutting of programs. But the thing is, though, with Title IX, I mean, that's going to protect some of that stuff. But if we're being completely honest, if there was no such thing as Title IX, there would be a lot of sports that would immediately be slashed just because they're not operating in a positive, and they're draining a lot of that money. I wouldn't be shocked if we see, think about like our coaching staff, how much they're getting paid, man. I'm not saying there'll be renegotiations immediately, but I could see them limiting, the number of analysts off field. You got to think all that stuff adds up. Even if a guy's making $100K a year, that adds up. So unfortunately, man, I feel like there's going to be a lot of slashing, but when they open the door for this, that's what it kind of leads to. It's the unfortunate reality of it. So I had a couple other things I was going to mention. Let's go back to the phone lines, 205-342-9904. We got Carson up next. Carson, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. How you doing today, Christian?
I'm good, man. Still just trying to figure out everything that is going on with this whole legislation that just went through.
Man, I'll tell you what. While dealing with my nasty sunburn I got this weekend playing golf, this Louisiana weather was not great to me. So I'm dealing with that, and I'm also dealing with all this news coming out. I don't know, man. On one hand, without getting too in the weeds on it, I don't have any evidence of Greg Byrne ever doing anything bad. I think he's been awesome for us. And so I'm going to withhold my judgment. I can speculate, and of course it's always fun to do, but I trust Greg Byrne. And I know that he'll put us at a pretty good position, or the best one possible for our program. So, and I don't know if you had seen the news that had come out. He was on McElroy's show this morning talking about kind of the whole landscape, and they asked him about private equity, and I know that other teams have used private equity to fund NIL, and basically his comments were that I don't know if you have had any plans of watching that video, but he said that he had no plans of using private equity as a means to fund because none of the models that were presented to him made sense.
Really? I'll have to pull this up.
Yeah.
Is there a video for it?
You might have to go on X. I'm not sure. I can look up after I get off the phone with you and see if I can find a clip, if there is one. But yeah,
I see. So I don't have the clip, but I do have like his quote. So worst case, I'll read it. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I didn't even I didn't know that there is an article written on it. So thank you so much because that'll be good. As a matter of fact, here you go. So I do have it. I'll play it when we get done, but it's about a minute. At least from McRoy and them. So he talked about the private equity stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, and he said, and from my understanding, and this is without any context, I didn't watch the video. I just read the quote, but he said that none of the models. He said we're Alabama basically, and obviously the brand itself gets a lot of stuff thrown their way. And he said none of this stuff that has come to us has made sense in terms of any long-lasting or sustainability purposes for the program. It hasn't made sense. So, I mean, that tells you one thing, you know. Or it's like, okay, if you're gonna come to us, at least come to us with something fully fledged out and something that makes sense. But my overall opinion is, like, I work for a big company, and I don't like a lot of corporate oversight, and I don't like a lot of hands in the cookie jar in general. But when it comes to this landscape with the NIL and the portal, we can break down and get into the weeds about, all of these deals and stuff. But my general purview of it is it needed to be done. I think there's a clip of AJ McCarron talking about it as well from yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. But he said this, and I agreed with him. It's like something had to be done. I mean, it looks like a lot right now, and it looks like there's a lot of parameters, and I believe that there's going to be a lot of under-the-table deals going back to before the NIL, the brown paper bags full of money. But something had to be done. And if it's overreach at this time, I don't really mind it right now, because I think in the future, 5 years from now, we could be talking about it completely differently. And I do think that things as they progress will get hopefully better with smart people in place to make those decisions. But I do think it's a good start. We'll see how it operates, but something is better than nothing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And that's what I've been trying to say too, is that, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, literally, you had to figure something out, because before, literally, the collectives could throw as much like it, and you'll probably hear it in this Pete Nichols. I mean, like, people are trying to get, real estate and how, like, I mean, like it literally, that don't even happen in the pros. It's literally, it's contractually based. You're on a contract, right. You get money, boom, whatever. Like it's just pretty, I say simple. Yeah, there's there's complexity every now and then, but you get what I'm saying. No other business or anything I can think of is like, oh man, I'm negotiating. Hey, I want a property included for me to come to school here. Paying for my parents to fly everywhere. Like, I mean, it's like negotiating way beyond just like, it's just crazy. And I think this is at least trying to put some type of guardrails, at least so it's like, say, all right, everybody can work with up to $20.5 million. It's a start. Is it perfect? No. But I think they're trying to at least figure something out. It's no different than you think about the playoffs, right? You're not going to get it right on the first go. I think we'll probably see some things be adjusted and affected. But after reading some of what Greg Byrne had to say, it sounds like he's confident in it. He actually kind of gave some pushback to some of the people that were coming out and saying it's stupid and it's not going to work. Like Paul Feinbaum seemed to not have any faith in it, but Greg Byrne feels pretty confident. You mentioned, I mean, he's got plenty of experience being an athletic director. He's been working this space with the NIL for the last several years. If he's pretty confident, I think at least has a shot. Now, again, I think it's probably going to, have some adjustments down the line, but I think it's the right step at least. I'm just curious to see how the private equity stuff ends up working for some of these other schools. He doesn't seem too in on it. Other schools feel like maybe they don't have a choice. And I also just know people always try to find ways around things. And I'm just curious to see what are the first examples of those in the near future. How are people going to try to work around this kind of stuff? Because we know it's going to happen.
Of course it is. And on another note, can we go back to living in a world where Paul Feinbaum is back on jocks and didn't have the like, golly, man, I can't listen to anything he says anymore. But I used to love Paul Feinbaum growing up. But talking about like under the table deals. I mean, I don't want to break any news on your show, but I live in Louisiana, and I lived in Baton Rouge for a while, and a good buddy of mine. This was before NIL. Was he played receiver for LSU? We went to high school together, and he walked on. But he was really good friends with a lot of the guys, in the receiver room. And I've seen, those under the table deals that happen. I've seen a brown paper bag full of money in a with a guy. I don't want to. He might have been famous for a one-handed catch back in the day in the NFL. But
okay, well that does not shock me. That does not shock me one bit.
No, with my own two eyes. I mean, this is no BS. I've seen it in an apartment.
Oh dang!
Yeah. Oh yeah. In the apartment. Just happened right there, and I'm like, well, okay. Well, it at that time it was understood. It's like that's just kind of the way that it was, and to bring it into now, it's I think there's going to be a lot more of that, especially with these parameters. You're going to see some stuff, some stories come out of some stuff like that, and now with the media the way that it is, there's going to be some trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, and it probably will come on anything within like the revenue share. I think they'll probably be pretty clean there because number one, I'm sure that's going to be pretty monitored. And two, there's not
right.
You know what I mean? Like you said, when it comes to the outside stuff, you probably would, if you're going to do something, which if I had to guess, we'll probably just see some maybe potential unreported type deals going on, like you just were mentioning.
Right.
I mean, like you said, it was already going on, and even though I didn't necessarily see anything firsthand, I'm not going to sit there and act naive. Like we all knew like stuff was happening. Like it's kind of part of it, right? I just don't know. Let me ask you this. Obviously, you're a big fan. Now, we know they're going to have to find ways to come up with that 20.5. We just were talking about the econ of it, like Dwight was, joking about. Would you be upset if ticket prices were increased, let's just say 10%?
No, I wouldn't. Because, I mean, look, it's already expensive. And I get it.
It's already under 50 bucks. What's 170 going to do?
No, it's not gonna hurt as much as what people say. I get I understand the sentiment of the outrage. I get where people are coming from, but in reality, man, like, look, prices are going up no matter what. Prices are susceptible to go up no matter just on inflation alone, just on just property alone, and everything is going up. And so, if this is a measure that they have to take to ensure that they get everything that they need to pay these players to make this machine work, then I have no problem with it. As far as the cuts go, I hate to be like a fatalist about it, where it's like, all right, look, like some things are going to have to go, but I mean, they are. If it needs to be done, it'll be done. I trust Greg Byrne on that, on making decisions that are healthy, whether they're cold-blooded or not. I mean, he's going to make it work. I have no evidence to believe that he's not. So it'll be in the best interest for Alabama football and the school as a whole. And I think more people, I understand the fans' outrage. He actually pushed back on fans as well. saying we care. You know, we do care about the fans, even because people were saying that they didn't. But you know, he's got a business to run, and
Sure.
he'll make it work for better or for worse. But to the fans, I don't know. Look, they care, but I don't see it as too big of a deal.
No, that's fair. No, I respect the response, man. I mean, unfortunately, if you're a college football fan, I mean, it's just kind of the reality we live in, and you can either complain about it or say, you know what, man, I'll just not eat out, once or twice a week, and might have to pay a little bit more for that ticket, but figure it out there. Carson, we appreciate
it. It's a luxury at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's good. That's a good outlook, man.
I appreciate you taking my call, Christian. Thank you.
Always, man. Thank you, man. Take care. Good deal. All right. That'll do it for hour number 1. Hour number 2 coming up. We come back. We got Q06. We'll go to him. Continue on the phone lines. Plus, I found that interview with Greg Byrne that Carson just referenced. So we'll listen to that after we hear from Q06, who's patiently waiting. And we'll hear what Greg Byrne had to say regarding this whole new legislation. That'll be interesting. Plus the video with Pete Nichols later. All that coming up right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in
All right, I got the audio for it. I'm going to wait till we play it. But to summarize, let me share this real quick during this break. I don't know if you guys can read that. Let me zoom in. Says, we have lived in an unregulated market over the last 4 years. Nothing lasts long term that doesn't have some type of regulation. The steps that have been taken from the House settlement gives an opportunity for us to have a regulated market. Private donation deals are going to struggle on that side, but legitimate business opportunities, they'll be okay. You're not going to get $500,000 for showing up for an ice cream shop and putting it on Instagram anymore. So like that was one of the main things I was just saying. Like to me, I'm like, that's been a no-brainer. Now, obviously you can't regulate every single thing. You can try, but there should have been that in place. Like we're literally, what do we complain about? Oh, these phony NIL deals. How do you fix that? Well, have somebody literally review and approve them. Which I'm not kidding, guys. I'm pretty sure like initially people were supposed to be reporting deals. Now I don't know if something happened. There's a lawsuit, something changed. I don't know. But when NIL first happened or first was allowed, I remember like certain people saying like, oh yeah, we've got to like if someone came to them, they've got to report it to compliance. Like the compliance office in the respective athletic departments were reviewing those things. I don't know what happened, but it's been amazing to me, all the people that have been out there saying this won't work. It's mostly anonymous sources that are saying that, and it's by publications at a time that benefit from the unregulated market that we've been in. So he feels like the people that are doubting it are
they accept us
worried that they're going to be affected by it. Maybe, I don't know. Well, I think from seeing the football coaches in the SEC and my peers at the SEC institutions, there's a real desire to make this work. There's an arbitration on things that wouldn't be able to arbitrate before. That gives both sides an opportunity to be heard when challenges arise. Not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better than we were where we were, which I agree. It's at least providing some type of structure.
Achievers
who are resilient
and won't take no for an answer. We're here for the coaches,
athletic trainers, and mentors who are shaping the next generation of legends. We are here for you, aggressively pursuing victory over injury.
Learn more at andrewsportsmedicine.com. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Just a few widely scattered showers or thunderstorms through the evening hours. The high today 85, tonight's low 64. Tomorrow morning sunshine. A few spots could see an afternoon storm. The high 88. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 81 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into hour number 2 right here, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Sport Experts. It's Talking Tuesday, so we've been talking with you guys. Love it, man. We just had Carson on the lines. We had Pat first. Now we got Q06, then Mike after that. Plus, we got this Greg Byrne audio that we can listen to here in a minute. But let's get rolling. That way we can get you guys on here. 205-342-9904 is the number. Q06, welcome in.
La vida si vida, man. How's life be life, man? Christian, how you doing, man? ¿Qué anda, güey?
¿Qué onda? ¿Qué onda? ¿Cómo estás? I'm good, man. I'm
Yeah,
good,
man.
man. Just breaking all this stuff down. What do you think about it? Tell me, Q. What do you think about all this?
Man, tell me, man. How do we lose money? How are we losing money on these? Tickets cost so much money. How we lose?
Because of the other sports. So remember, football was in about a $27 million positive, right? So we made about $27 million in football. Basketball made about $6 million. Outside of them, everybody else lost money. As baseball, women's basketball, gymnastics, those combined for, I don't know. Allegedly, what's weird though, Q06 is one thing saying we were in a deficit last year, which I'll probably trust that. I mean, according to TuscaloosaNews.com, it said we were in a complete deficit. But so to answer your question, yeah, it said in 2024 the deficit was about $28 million. So that's unfortunately those other
28
programs.
million, 26 million. That ain't a small drop in the bucket. I mean, that's a lot of money. But I mean,
yeah, then now add $20.5 million. That's why I was explaining, like, you operated in a $28 million deficit. That $20.5 million, it doesn't just come up out anywhere. So you throw that in the expense category now. You get what I'm saying? So now that last year that would have put them at a $48 million deficit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, I just can't understand it, man. I mean, that's a lot of doggone money. And my boy Pat, love you, Pat, man. Pat was trying to raise the prices on tickets. Pat trying to make the kids pay $50. God dang, Pat.
But so listen, some way or another, you got to find ways to come up with that cheese, man. You gotta have it to pay it, right? So I mean, think about this. I mean, the stadium fills what? Just shy? Is it just shy of 100,000 now? We'll just say 100,000. But say they raise.
I'd say 100,000 at least, man. And I just sit there and just think of the $1 a person, that $1 more a person. That many people, man. That's a lot of money.
That'd be $100,000. But say you did, raise ticket prices $10. That's $1 million.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. It's
but listen. But if you raise ticket prices if you raise ticket prices by $10, so by 100, so $10 times 100,000 would be $1 million. So if my math is correct, right, that would be per home game. You get what I'm saying? So technically, if you have 7 home games, that's $7 million right there out of that 20.5.
That's why I'm getting close to the point. I'm starting to get ticked off about this, man, because I really don't fool with pro sports no more. I mean, football, basketball. I mean, we got the finals here, and dude, I ain't locked in. I mean, Pacers or Thunder, it doesn't really matter to me because they're a bunch of rich, spoiled brats. Now here we get to the point where I feel like my boys, come on, college football, don't take it away from me, man. All this NIL stuff. I feel like I'm that old guy. Get off my grass. Get off my porch. But, I mean, Christian, we're going to start losing fans. People are going to stop. You just said raise that money to that so we can get an extra $1 million, whatever, $10 million, whatever it is. Somehow, some way, that's going to funnel back to those kids, and they're going to be more hungry. I want more Lamborghinis. I want more, And I know Tia probably about to run off the doggone road wherever she's at right now. Getting all mad about what I'm saying on this, but dude, I'm not feeling it. I'm really not. But let's go. Let me go just a different discussion real quick, a little bit, because I need you to answer this for me, Christian. I've been dying to know this. So right now, the players are out there for practice. I mean, they're doing summer ball. Is that volunteer? Or is that required?
Oh no, that is required. So it's definitely required. I don't know if we want to call it voluntary, mandatory, or what, but basically it's required. The reason I say that is because, like, I don't know, like, if say there's for whatever reason some like language that says like technically they don't have to be there, but it's required, man. It's definitely.
Are the coaches out there? The coaches can't talk to them, right? I mean, and they
No.
coaches-
So yeah, the rules basically, they probably changed a little bit, but basically how it's always been, at least when I was there, and now it's been recently, was we can't really have contact with the coach. That's the other reason why I said, like, maybe technically speaking, it might not necessarily be mandatory, all of it at least, because we technically can't even be with the coaches. You get what I'm saying? You're only with the strength coaches. The only time that we would be around our coaches would be occasionally, like a little bit later in the summer. It felt like, because what we would do, and it's probably different now, but we would have workouts in the morning. Coaches were never around for that. We would run in the morning, then we go, you lift. There's like 3 or 4 different lifts throughout the day on lift days. And then when we come back for 7-on-7s, we would have meetings before. They were player-led meetings. Technically, I think GAs could be with us.
That's my question.
Yeah, so GAs technically I think could be around us, but actual coaches couldn't. So the meetings didn't even have coaches. The coaches, literally what they did was, to kind of get around it, they would just watch the 7-on-7s from like the balcony and like the windows, but they weren't coaching us or talking to us. They just were watching, quote unquote. I guess that was their way of being able to legally do it. They could watch from like the balconies up top, but we were.
They can't say nothing to the players. They like, you out here, nothing. I mean, I'm just making sure. I wasn't sure if college football is totally different from quite on the level of high school football, where you had volunteer to come up during the month of June. You can volunteer, and in July you maybe had to come up.
Oh, no, in that sense, no, because you're enrolled in classes. So the only reason I was saying, like, maybe technically on paper it could maybe not be mandatory is because I don't know, like the timing of stuff, right? Like anyway, but no, we're enrolled in classes during the summer, so like you can't just skip your classes or say, oh, like I don't want. Yeah, no, it's not like the NFL like that. No, you have to be here on campus.
So I asked all this to say, yesterday I was listening. They said the heat level in Tuscaloosa wasn't that hot. Man, you be out there practicing out there in that heat in Alabama in June and July, and you're out there volunteering to get out there and do it. God dang! And then you think about how hot those football games are in August and September. Man, these players that come play at Alabama and Texas and all these places, man, it's real. I'm getting soft, Christian. I'm up in Indianapolis, and I'm soft now. But that heat,
I'm the same way.
They're out there doing summer drills. I'm like, wow.
No, I'm the same way, Q. I was just saying the other day, I was walking my dog, and it was in the afternoon, and it was like, I mean, I don't even think it showed 90 on the temperature, but it was humid, it was hot, and I was like, man, I literally said to someone, I was like, I can't even believe that I used to be out there running around with pads on, full pads for hours in this heat. I'm like, I don't even feel like walking my dog too far right now, let alone, I don't even want him to get overheated. Like, but I'm like, imagine having a helmet.
Is that why they deserve the NIL money? Is that why they deserve all the NIL money? Because they're out there in the heat. They're out there, and NFL players are out there in the heat. So maybe they got to get paid because, I don't know, Christian.
No, I think they deserve NIL money. Well, no, here's my honest take. I think they deserve NIL money is because all the money that they're bringing in. I think if you look at it, that's what makes, and obviously yes, part of what you're saying too, yes, they do deserve it because they're out there, running around where it's, the heat is, dangerously hot. But what that also means is they don't have time to actually work a regular job. And I used to always explain that to people and I still have to, because I think some people just hear like these numbers going around and they just assume everybody's making, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Same thing in the NFL. I don't think people understand this. People think, oh man, you play in the NFL, man. Like, oh, everybody that plays in the NFL is a millionaire or has millions of dollars. that is the furthest thing from true. You know what I mean? Like now, like the annual salary is up to like 700 something thousand, but I don't think people understand. You got to pay for a living situation in the city that you're playing. You also have to have a off-season place to live. I mean, that adds up. You got families and stuff. You got taxes. So post taxes in NFL, you might be making $750. Post taxes, you're probably seeing like $400. You got to pay your agent. You got to do a number of things. So yeah, it's definitely a great opportunity, but not everybody's making tens of millions of dollars in the NFL. It's the same thing with NIL. Not all these guys are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. You'd be surprised. Really about 60% or 70% of these teams really are probably making or the players on these teams in college, Q, are making probably about 25 to like 30 something K. Yeah. Really, the starters, the notable backups, which if you look at a place like Alabama, obviously that percentage is probably like, I would say at least half the teams earning more than that. But you probably got the other half that is kind of earning like the very, lower end of things. I would probably say maybe 25% actually get over six figures. The rest might be like in like the 50 to 75 range. If you were a decent recruit.
What's Ty Simpson getting paid? Think Ty Simpson getting broke off?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. But with him being a quarterback here, but him also staying here, so initially he probably wasn't making as much, right? Like if he were to, he's like, you see the numbers of these other quarterbacks get paid because they transfer and go places. He's probably making more than he definitely was initially, but I don't think he's probably making nearly as much as some of these other guys that transferred and got like $2.something million. I would argue that it's much less.
All right. Well, I know we done talked, we done rambled, we done went all around the board. Big thing of it all is, man, I don't think we got it figured out. They don't have it figured out. If we lose them, and we only making $26 million on football, I mean, it just seemed like it's way, way, way more money than that, Chris. And I mean,
yeah.
I always gripe and complain because I spent $1,000 to come down for one football game for a weekend.
Yeah.
Or more. So that's why, when I hear all this going on, I'm like, y'all ain't making money. Please, I got $1,000 out of Q06 and I'm tight. I don't spend money. I'm worse than you, Christian. I'm a tightwad.
Yeah, well, football is football is making money. It's not like we're losing money. Football's making money, but unfortunately, the other sport in basketball, the other sports, no, they're not, and that's literally.
I understand a little bit better now.
Yeah, that's how it is with all these other schools too. So they got the same issues that they got to figure out. So we'll see how they handle it.
Well, listen, man, they're talking about the heat down there. I'm really hoping the game I come to is not an afternoon game because some afternoon games down there, man, are hot.
Yeah.
A 2:30 afternoon game, I don't think I'll ever do another one again, Christian. I've done that
really?
last year. No, the heat, oh my goodness, no. I'm really playing the Vanderbilt game at about 6. I'm hoping it's like a 6 o'clock game.
What's crazy? I feel like that's either, I would say probably 11 or 2:30. If I had to guess.
Christian.
I don't see that being a night game.
I want something, man. I can't do it.
Nah, come on. You'll be all right. Get your little fan. Get your little fan and a water bottle. You'll be all right.
Hey, thank you, Greg Byrne. You gave water away free last year in this 2:30 game.
It might not be. Whoa. Slow down, Q. It might not be free moving forward. You can't say stuff like that. Don't jinx it, man.
Well, he did it last year, Greg Byrne. Thank you last year for that free water. I appreciate it.
That was before revenue sharing, brother. You might be paying $3.99 for that water now.
Thanks, y'all. Take care, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Q. Quick timeout. We come back. We keep on rolling. We got Mike from New York coming up next right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
.365 24/7. You'll find road and you.
Let's see.
In the world of college athletics, to break it all down, Swiss Army knife for us here at On 3, the man, the myth, the legend, Pete Nakos. Pete, I want to start with this because you get the On 3 Twitter graphic, and they're phenomenal all the time, but you get it, and it doesn't have a college football player on it or how much
new, era of enforcement, because for the last 5 years, the NCAA enforcement has been zilch.
Mm-hmm.
It's been nowhere to be found. So those are the two things you need to care about the most as a college football fan.
And in 2025, we were talking before we got on the air.
Clearinghouse that is going to deem if a contract is, a fair market value is what they're calling it. And so the interesting thing here, too, is the clearinghouse does not technically come out with the punishments. It's this new enforcement entity called the College Sports Commission, which is being run by the Power Five. And they have a new commissioner coming from the MLB.
Here we go.
And that.
Why does it sound like we just abolished the NCAA and we're just recreating it and call it College Football Commission? I don't know.
Entity is going to basically take over all college football enforcement as we know it.
It literally just sounds like we're just replacing the NCAA.
There's a lot of verbiage there from clearing.
Worth 1.5. Then our marketing firm is going to go get you a couple of deals. That'll be another 1.5. And then we got to push it all through this clearinghouse. And that's where there's just a huge unknown right now. And
it's
not going to impact
neurological.
Carson Beck or John Mateer or Darian Mensah getting paid this upcoming season.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to
Interesting.
So Lenore Sellers' deal to come back for his junior year, it's South Carolina will probably have to. It's going to be a little bit more interesting to get done than it was in December to bring him back as a sophomore. Is he a redshirt sophomore?
Yes, he's going to his third year right now.
Okay,
so
that
he
was
could
a bad
go
example.
but
if he comes back, that
Yeah.
deal is going to be interesting to see how it comes together.
I think a lot of people in NFL circles with how many starts he's had are saying, hey, Lenoris, we'd love to, unless you go crazy this year and win the Heisman, which we think could happen on this show, maybe another year would serve him well. And if he does come back.
But that deal will be very interesting to see
Come
how
back
it
for
comes
some good
together.
money.
Yeah, he will definitely get some good money.
So the clearinghouse, just so I have this down correctly, the clearinghouse is essentially like the
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Partly sunny sky this afternoon. Just a few widely scattered showers or thunderstorms through the evening hours. The high today 85, tonight's low 64. Tomorrow morning sunshine. A few spots could see an afternoon storm. The high 88. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 82 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC presented by the Good Feet Store, America's art support experts. Let's keep on rolling on the phone lines. We go 205-342-9904. We got Mike up next. Mike, welcome in.
Hey, how we doing, Captain? What's going on today?
Oh, man, nothing much. Another day, another dollar. How's everything up there in New York?
Good. Doing well. So I, too, would pay more for tickets.
Okay, all right. So it sounds like we got a good outlook so far.
If the tickets were going to the university, I don't know is there some type of thing? I know they just signed legislation that they can't be, StubHub and all these guys can't be charging, crazy amounts of money anymore. So why do universities and them even deal with them? Why can't they just sell the tickets? Because an average ticket to an LSU or a Tennessee game is probably going to be about $400, I would say, maybe even more. At times, $80,000 by the time you take 20,000 tickets out for, the band and families and stuff like that. That's $36 million right there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Southern says in here they're going to raise ticket prices way beyond what you're talking about, Christian, as they're outpricing the bulk, of the CFP target audience. But I would, and you just mentioned StubHub and that stuff. I don't know, like those third-party sites. I don't know where they get those, if it's people reselling them, or I don't know exactly how that works, or the university gets a piece. But yeah, no, y'all are both right. I mean, it's probably going to be a little bit more than just $10. But I just was saying, like, if you just take our home games and you think about it, a $10 increase, which I feel like is manageable. You choose not to eat fast food one day, that takes care of that, right? Again, I hate that it's being put on, the fans, but let's just be realistic here. I mean, your team needs to be competitive. That's about $1 million a game. You know what I mean? About $1 million a game on average. You got 7 home games. That's already, probably about 35% of, the $20 million you need to come up with. I think that's probably going to be one of the first things they look at. But it sounds like you're good with it. I'd imagine there's going to be a number of people that are okay with it. We'll have, a crowd that definitely doesn't want to see it. But, I mean, I just don't really know what else we do. It's either that or you start cutting out all these other sports and coaches, and that would be even more of a mess.
No, you definitely don't want to see that. Absolutely don't want to see that. So
yeah,
but
I mean, I wonder if they'll still push the Alabama as much. So that's the interesting thing. Will they still lean more? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm just really curious.
I mean, if people felt called to donate or whatever, thought they were doing something, felt close to the university, I guess. But, I mean, there's always somebody out there willing to do stuff like that. So I imagine they would probably keep it open. But yeah, I mean, even if they took the tickets up to $40, people would pay it. I mean, I think we talked about this before when I told you what game we were going to and what games we were looking at, and I'm like, I can sit Eastern Illinois, I can sit in the 5th row for like $100, but if I want to go see LSU, it's like $600.
Dang.
in the end zone. So if I want to sit way up, it's still like $300-400 sitting in the way top level.
And those games still sell out. And those games
Oh,
still
yeah,
sell out,
absolutely.
if not
People will
more
love
than the others. If anything, it just would be
people-
hard, because the small games where you might not have like a sellout crowd. I mean, it's going to probably be hard to justify raising it too much for those. But yeah, I mean, you got a good point though. I mean, those games are already so expensive and they still sell out. So people will find a way.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, they'll find a way. They'll go. But yeah, I mean, raising it always ends up trickling down to the consumer, which again is fine. I don't know how it's going to work out. Some of this, I still don't think this helps get the smaller schools closer to the bigger schools. I think they're just trying to wrap their hands around some of the money getting thrown around. Which, okay, they want to get a hold of it. That's fine. I really wish they would have addressed the bowl season first. I mean, I really miss New Year's Day. It used to, all those games used to mean something, and I get it now. Every playoff game means something, but man, they got people. Kids don't want to play in them anymore. People don't want to coach in them anymore. They had a forfeit last year, didn't some team forfeit last year because they didn't have enough players?
I feel like they did. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but I want to say they did.
Marshall. It was Thank you. One of my kids told me it was Marshall.
Oh, there you go.
Marshall
Yeah, I was about to
forfeited
say.
last year. So yeah, they had a couple kids in the portal, and then they had a bunch of kids that didn't want to play. And it's like that's terrible.
I will say, I think the expanded playoffs does help, though. I think the expanded playoffs helps kind of keep the interest level high in those postseason games. It keeps more players actually wanting to play in them because they do feel more meaningful. That was one thing Coach Saban used to say, and I understood. I mean, when you only have 4 teams making the playoff and the rest are kind of just like, oh, they're just bowl games. It did make them feel a little insignificant. So that's fair. That's fair. Hopefully, the expanded playoffs helps that.
Yeah, and I get the kids that don't want to risk injury and play and stuff like that, but they can safeguard against stuff like that, I guess. But I just missed that whole bowl.
You get this kind of money. Well, now they're getting paid by the universities. I mean,
right now
there's less of a.
We got a game today.
Yeah, I mean, there's less leverage for those guys. I mean, again, and I'm always going to be a player advocate, obviously, but when you're getting paid like that, I mean. Think about it. They're really going to push now for more games because that's another way. What's another way you can come up with some more money? More games. Could we see? They're definitely going to push for like the playoffs. It's probably a lock at 16 now. Given all this coming out, I would say 16 is a lock.
Yeah, or you know what? Maybe they put a day back in and charge people to get in and take all that money. That could be your $20 million right there.
Mike, I'm telling you, they're going to.
They'll do something. They're more creative than we are. That's for sure.
No, it sounds like they need to hire you because you're throwing out idea after idea. I mean, that's a good point too. I mean, that's one way. But put in the chat, he's true. He's right about this. It's very true. He said, "I can't be mad about investment into the program unless we absolutely stink at football. Then I'm mad about not getting my return on investment." So. If we're good, I think people would pay to come see a new A-Day come back to play. I think people would, success is going to make us a lot more money. So let's just hope we can have continued success because that will take care of a lot of problems.
Absolutely. All right, man. I'm going to bounce, get some other people a chance to talk.
No, we appreciate you as always, Mike. Yeah, good stuff. It's good to know that all you guys are pretty good with this potential pay increase or not pay, price.
If it's going to the school, I'm good with it.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, Mike, we appreciate you, man. You have a great rest of your day.
Catch you later.
Yes, sir. See ya. Good deal. All right. Well, good deal. We got to hit a timeout. We come back. I think we're free on the phone lines for a second. So we'll go to this video and get some more details from Pete Nakos because there's a couple of things he mentioned there that I thought were pretty interesting. So we'll listen to that. We'll keep on rolling on this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Child 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
Seafood and Crawfish Summer Kickoff Darty at the venue June 7th. The Darty starts at noon and rolls on till 6 p.m. Admission is free and we have 3 different bands entertaining. Not only does the venue have 2 new restaurants, Santo Taco and Uncle Nick's Italian Eatery, but we have recruited a cameo appearance from a Cajun seafood restaurant. Shrimp, crab, crawfish, and more. Join us June 7th. Visit VenueTuscaloosa.com for more information.
Reigning 7-time ACM and CMA Vocal Group of the Year, Old Dominion. How good is that? World Tour with Ernest and special guest Red Farron. Friday, June 13th at Mercedes-Benz Amphitheater. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Old Dominion. One incredible night of country music you don't want to miss.
The Home Depot has fast, free delivery on the perfect gift to help Dad do more this Father's Day. Because Dad is more than just a dad. He's ground.
Let's see. Those third-party tickets are just resale. Cheaper to buy directly if you can find any. They usually buy the direct tickets for cheaper, not the price. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I was thinking of. Those third-party sites typically were people reselling them. Alabama can't control that. But see, like what Carson was saying, is StubHub, the BlackRock or ticket sales. They buy a portion of the tickets and drive up the market. That's what I wasn't sure about. I knew people definitely resell them, but I was like, I mean, there's always there's always a large number like on there. So I'm like, are there that many people reselling them, or do these sites somehow grab some
injury?
I mean, think about not even just football. I mean, think about how many tickets actually you can purchase. I think I wouldn't be shocked if they have a deal like with the venue or the school or whatever it might be, the event, where obviously the event's getting paid.
If you wanted to add,
maybe get some of those. I mean, I can look it up real quick for sure. Dwight says it's mostly just third-party tickets, which it definitely are those. But is it only that though? Let's see. Let's do StubHub. Excuse me.
Fitting industrial maintenance.
Or like maybe they're just like a link to the tickets, man. I'll be honest with you, I don't really use it because anytime I've looked at it, man, it's always like, oh, that's a good deal. Then you see the fees, you're like, oh man, that's not even worth it. I mean, unless you just have to have
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly sunny today. Just a few widely scattered showers or thunderstorms this afternoon.
StubHub gets their tickets to sell from users who list their tickets.
Tomorrow sunny during the morning. A few
So
spots.
I guess Dwight is right though. I mean,
The high 88. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 82 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. All right, real quick, let me remind you about our friends over at R&R Cigars while we got a quick little segue into the video. R&R Cigars, the best cigar bar and lounge in Tuscaloosa, best cigars in the Southeast, the best humidor you can find. Check them out. 2703 Gary Fitz Street here in Tuscaloosa. If you're looking for a place to watch your favorite sporting events, go smoke a cigar, enjoy one of 160 bourbons that they have. But they even got these great deals on their website. If you're not local, 20% off of any 20 cigars. rnrcigars.com is the website. You can build your perfect selection. Again, they also have free shipping on orders of $100 or more. So, guys, make sure you guys check them out. Father's Day coming up. You can get some great deals for them. And I'm telling you, man, you can't beat the selection that they have, the deals that they have, and the environment, everything they've got going on. When you actually go to the mansion, if you've never been, you got to check it out. It's quite the experience. Again, that is R&R Cigars, the official cigar provider of Alabama football since 2014. All right, let's go ahead and get this Pete Nakos and JD Piquel video going because they cover a number of things here. I'll skip a little bit ahead, but again, he's going to recap about the legislation. We've heard about that, but I want him to dive into some of these details. So here we go.
Some big news in the world
from the MLB.
Here we go.
And that entity, fair market value is what they're calling it. And so the interesting thing here, too, is the clearinghouse does not technically come out with the punishments. It's this new enforcement entity called the College Sports Commission, which is being run by the Power Five, and they have a new commissioner coming from the MLB.
There we go.
And that entity is going to basically take over all college football enforcement as we know it.
Interesting. So there's a lot of verbiage there, from clearinghouse to, I know rev shares getting thrown around a lot
of words.
And there's, a lot of stuff that we're like, I don't really hear that typically when I'm watching a college football primetime broadcast with Herbie and Fowler on the call.
It's not going to impact their calls.
Interesting. Okay, so when you're talking about roster construction, do you think this is something that'll be like, are we going to talk about clearinghouse more frequently? Like, hey, guy was going to play this week, however, his clearinghouse deal didn't go through, so therefore he's not eligible for this game in Week 6 against Michigan or A&M or whatever.
Maybe we get there at some point. I don't see it breaking down like that. I see a lot of it being, a school promising to a quarterback, hey, we're going to get you a $3 million deal. But because schools are only going to have like $13 to $60 million to spend on football, they don't want that $3 million of revenue sharing to go to the quarterback. So they're going to say, hey, let's go get you a deal with a local business that might be worth 1.5. Then our marketing firm is going to go get you a couple of deals. That'll be another 1.5. And then we got to push it all through this clearinghouse. And that's where, there's just a huge unknown right now. And it's not going to impact Carson Beck or John Mateer or Darian Mensah getting paid this upcoming season. It is going to possibly make an impact on 2026 quarterbacks.
Okay, interesting.
So Lenore Sellers' deal to come back for his junior year, it's South Carolina will probably have to. It's going to be a little bit more interesting to get done than it was in December to bring him back as a Is he a redshirt sophomore?
Yes, he's going to his third year right now.
Okay,
so
that was a bad example. But if he comes back, that
Yeah.
deal is going to be interesting to see how it comes together.
I think a lot of people in NFL circles with how many starts he's had are saying, hey, Lenoris, we'd love to, unless you go crazy.
But that deal will be very interesting to see
Come
how
back
it
for
comes
some good
together.
money.
Yeah, he will definitely get some good money.
So the clearinghouse, just so I have this down correctly, the clearinghouse is essentially like the mechanism they're running these deals through to see if they're in good faith
So
or
you'll have
legit.
two
or?
deals.
Okay.
So you'll have your rev share deal, which is when an institution directly pays an athlete, right? That's never happened in the history of college sports, so that's historic. And then you have, your brand and NIL deals that have existed for the last 4 years. But now, if a local business signs a deal with an athlete in Columbus, Ohio, and it's over $600, it's got to go through this clearinghouse, and they got to read the contract and deem if it's, a fair market value, and then the if it's overly lucrative in these people's minds and opinion, then it could go in front of the College Sports Commission. There could be some punishments if the contract moves forward. Now, but the whole other unknown to all this, JD, that everyone's trying to figure out right now is so you have your revenue sharing, you have your brand deal, but then NIL collective deals, these booster deals that we've talked about so much for the last 5 years. It's why Bryce Underwood flipped from LSU to Michigan.
Yeah.
It's seriously impacted recruiting in the transfer portal. All those deals now have to go through the clearinghouse. And historically, if a quarterback transferred from a Big Ten school to an SEC school and they got $2 million, we're like, okay, that's what that guy's getting paid. Maybe he'll make some social media endorsements for the collective, but no one's looking at that contract. Well, now that collective.
Still looking for a new.
So we got a quick commercial, but this is the part that I'm saying makes sense to help get rid of all this stuff. That's what Greg Byrne was talking about. All these bogus deals, which really all of them, if we're being honest with you, were pretty much bogus. If you think about it, they really were just paying these guys, like he just said, like a quarterback. Carson Beck got $2 million. Yes, he's the starting quarterback. You can say jersey sales, appearance, and stuff like that, but that does not equal that, right? I mean, like you could probably come up with a few $100,000 worth of endorsement type stuff, but none of it was being monitored, like he said. That's what was going on. Now it has to be, cleared and approved. I just don't see why people would be against that. Like, that's literally what we've been saying. Everybody from Coach Saban to whoever you'd asked, everybody's been saying that's what needed to be done, and now they're doing it. And people are like, oh, well, how are they going to deem that? Well, we talked about it yesterday. There's different metrics to look at, but let's continue.
If a collective tries to do something like that, it's going to be looked at by this clearinghouse. They're going to seriously look at all the deliverables and say, is this athlete doing enough to make that deal worth, that value?
Interesting.
And now there's all these new hypotheticals, like some lawyers on Twitter were talking about, like, what if you overload it with deliverables? But you never enforce the deliverables.
Interesting.
So like there's all these what ifs that are really going to like shape how much money athletes get paid in the years.
That's an interesting point. So that would, an example of like overloading deliverables could be like, say, all right, we're going to put in this contract. Yeah, we're paying him $500,000, which seems way, too lucrative to be true. But we're going to have him do, he's supposed to do at least 100 Instagram posts throughout the year. He's supposed to appear here every other day, and then just say like, but they're not actually going to enforce it. That's kind of what he's getting at. I mean, that would be one of the things we talked about earlier about maybe trying to get around some of this stuff.
So I guess the hope behind this then is that there's just more regulation, because it felt like for the longest time everyone's shouting about, hey, too many, bad actors. It's like the fear for some people.
I don't know if the bad actors are going away because there's still no regulation over agents. Right?
Interesting. Okay.
But the regulation that the Power 5 conferences are hoping for is this new College Sports Commission is going to have more teeth to enforce, rules about NIL and payments. And then the other thing we have to talk about too when we talk about all that is these conferences are currently circulating affiliation agreements that would require Tennessee to, abide by a certain set of rules in the SEC and not, kind of go rogue and just follow the state law, which would give them an advantage over another school in the SEC. So those agreements haven't been signed yet. They're expected to be signed. It sounds like they'll get signed before July 1st when this all really goes into effect. But there's just so many layers of this. And to boil it down the most for college football fans, I would say you don't have to worry a lot about it, except I think in the months and years to come, it's just going to be fascinating to see how roster deals are constructed. And we'll also have to see how much teeth this enforcement has, because that could really, set the stage for how much athletes get paid and how much, is enforced and not enforced.
Because that was one of my other questions is, as this whole thing progresses, like the NCAA, is like on the graphic for this whole thing, and we're talking about them at the front of the conversation. But as we get further into this, we're talking about
they're more
the
irrelevant than ever.
So is this a thing where we could see the NCAA, it's very clickbaity to say the death of the NCAA, but is that kind of the direction?
It's been dead. Okay. And this College Sports Commission definitely takes even more power away from it when you look at enforcement. And then, not to, go off track here, but then the conference commissioners are also talking about a new governing body structure for the NCAA, which we don't need to get into now, but it just reinforces the point that the NCAA is more irrelevant than ever.
On the clock. On life support is the NCAA. Is that
love for the NCAA to exist and still organize the Division I lacrosse championship in the NCAA tournament and things like that. But I think that's kind of where it's at.
That's where we draw the line.
And like all this Connor Stallion stuff is going on in the background.
Sure.
And there was the NCAA hearing last week in Indianapolis. That is really going to be like the last true, enforcement that we see from the NCAA.
The last stand.
At least when it comes to,
it was very interesting. Because I think, not to beat a dead horse here, Pete, but seeing this, my first thought was, okay, so more money is being, distributed to the athletes, probably a good thing.
Yeah.
But also you're saying, okay, if a Texas wants to go out and land a 5-star, or a Miami or a USC or an Oklahoma or whoever, it's like those third parties, those collectives, or the people that aren't quite as involved on the rev share side of things, they can still go and say, no, we're going to go get Carson Beck. We're going to go get whoever.
More difficult now.
Okay, because of the clearinghouse part.
Because of the clearinghouse part.
Got it. Okay.
But we also don't know. The clearinghouse doesn't have federal backing, so they still are trying to go to Congress and get that.
Got it.
And then if there's no federal backing, then like how real are the punishments? And then the College Sports Commission, right? They don't have like the power of a search warrant, so it still falls back to all the issues NCAA enforcement had.
Interesting.
The one thing I should mention too that I think is interesting is talking to some schools and stuff. So you're gonna have like 13 to 60 million in revenue sharing.
Whoa!
But for football, but Ohio State spent 20 million on last year's roster.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Ohio State and Texas and schools like they're not going to slow down. So it's just going to get the total budget for a roster this season is probably going to be about 25 to 30 million. So you get 13 to 16 from rev share, and then you got to find the rest of it on these outside deals and stuff. And that will really come into focus when we talk about 2026 rosters.
And you have a great article out right now on all3.com, so go check that out right now. Pete breaks us all down, which is great news to the people and get the people. And I mean, what was it, like
Over $3
million?
Over $3.
More money being pumped into this thing. Quarterback, we think, is becoming more important than ever in the expanded playoff.
Yep.
Is that a thing where we see that number even increase to where, hey, a quarterback's going to cost you $5 million, $6 million?
So there's like, imagine if you get like a pair of binoculars. There's almost like two lenses you got to flip back and forth from. So like one lens is what you're paying the top transfers right now, which is like $2 to $4 million, and that's kind of what starting quarterbacks expect. That's why Nico Imalaev left and went to UCLA. He wanted more money. So I think that $2 to $4 million number maybe it grows a little bit. I mean, Bryce Underwood's making like roughly 3 to 4 a year right now. So that number's there. But on the flip side of it, the other lens, you have high school recruiting. And those deals are not being vetted by the clearinghouse until they get to campus. So there's now the opportunity for schools to pay recruits top dollar up to like $20,000-$25,000 a month before they get to campus.
Wow.
In like a separate marketing agreement deal with the NIL collective.
Wow.
Now that's something that blows my mind, that the high schoolers don't have to be vetted or approved. And so what's going to happen with a lot of this high school recruiting is if there's somebody they really want, man, I mean, those guys are going to get front loaded all that money because it's not being regulated.
So you have maybe like 50 to 100 recruits in this 2026 class getting some cash up front for their commitment.
Whoa. Okay.
So, but that changes the math when you talk about how much a quarterback's getting paid.
Interesting. Okay, so the bottom line here is, is if you are expecting to have a little boy here in the near future, sign him up.
Yeah, JD's not wrong, man. Talking about the money, it is more than that. I mean, the stuff that they're even requesting is just nuts. We got to hit it one last time out. We come back. We'll wrap things up, and we want to respond to this video here. We'll probably play a little bit of Greg Burns' thoughts because that was interesting. Maybe we'll save it for tomorrow because I definitely want to get his insight and explanation on how he's going about this whole deal because obviously that will directly affect us here as Alabama fans. So we'll do all that to wrap things up right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show. Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m.
See what you guys got over here. Can't just throw $2 million at a guy because you have money to blow. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they were doing initially. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how this again. I think in the next month or so we'll know more, especially with July 1st being that first day that they can really pay things out. I want to hear more about Greg Brown. I wonder if he got into specifics. Probably not too much, but it's about to turn into AAU. I mean, that's really what like. Honestly, like I just feel like we're just stretching it so much, man. Like again, like NFL, you got salary caps, guys get contract. I just don't like all this extras. Like, it's just so confusing. But I guess in the NFL, they can go work any type of marketing deal possible. Anybody could pay. You get paid as. I mean, if some Saudi group wanted to pay you $1 billion to do something,
based in Birmingham,
there's no block with that in the NFL. So I guess the revenue shares like the salary cap, but then they're just trying to just hinder the external deals that are faulty. I mean, it makes sense, but just like the other stuff, like paying the high schoolers, man, like
of legends. We are here for you, aggressively pursuing victory over injury.
Learn more at andrewsportsmedicine.com.
The all-new Chow's Country Buffet is open now.
I'm just saying we wanted to get 5 tickets to Bama's least popular game last year. Not good seats and tickets from UA Direct total over $1,600 before traveling or spending 1 cent on extras. Holy. Sorry, guys. I think my brother's like grilling. And I don't think he closed the door all the way. I'm like, God, my eyes are getting all irritated out of nowhere. I definitely smell smoke from a grill. I'm like, what the world?
My Discover card.
They accept
Can never just
Discover
do the
at
show on
Renaissance
beats, man. There's
fairs?
always something
They
going
do
on.
here. Discover's accepted at the places I'd love to shop.
I mean, that's crazy. Wait, 5 tickets, $1,600.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024
I mean,
Nielsen
that's
report.
literally
Hey,
over
it's Christian Miller,
$300.
and I want to tell you about our great friends over at Brian Harding.
That was
Construction.
$320.
Located in the heart of Tuscaloosa, Brian Harding Construction.
Am I doing that right? You said $1,600 was 5 tickets. Yeah, $320. Damn. I mean, what? And you
For
said
an
that was one of the
evaluation,
least
contact
popular
Brian
games?
Harding Construction today at 205-752-9611.
Yeah, we are
Again,
doing
that's
that. I
Brian
mean,
Harding
that's what I'm
Construction
saying.
at
So, I mean, like, I
205-752-9611.
feel like we're just gone too far.
Tied 100 points.
And I'm just being transparent. Like, I mean, like, I'm all, again, guys can't work. Guys deserve it. The money they generate, cool. But that to me is like, all right, revenue sharing across the athletes, cool. But all this extra, like, game recruit, like, dude. I mean, it's just gone too far.
It's 83
gone too
degrees in
far.
Tuscaloosa.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into the final few minutes here on the Miller's Edge, just talking Tuesday edition. Got to talk with a number of you guys, which was great. Glad we got to speak with all of you, man. Love when you guys hit us up on the phone lines and get y'all's thoughts and everything. Or when you are in the chat, we get to interact. Again, we are always live on YouTube Monday through Friday, same time that we're doing the radio show, obviously, because it's just a live radio show. It's on YouTube. But again, you can check us out if you like the visuals. You want to watch me do the show, watch the videos. Just like we just watched that video that the radio listeners were listening to here on YouTube at the Miller's Edge. Guys, make sure you check us out. All right. We only got a few more minutes to go, so we're not going to get to this whole interview from Greg Byrne, but there is a snippet with him basically giving an answer on could other sports be on the chopping block. It's only about a minute long, and we've got plenty of time for that. So let's go ahead and hear what Greg Byrne had to at least say about the potential of other sports being eliminated with this new NIL legislation.
The Olympic sports and the roster numbers there and the opportunities there. We have such a challenging model because we have 2 sports that turn a profit at Alabama. We have football and men's basketball. We have 19 sports that don't. Our smallest net financial losers from a financial standpoint, they're all important programs when I say this, so please don't say, well, Greg Byrne is saying that, not talking third person, but Greg Byrne is saying these sports aren't important. They absolutely are important. But our 2 smallest net losers are men's and women's tennis. Each lose about $1 million. And then everybody else is more than that. And we really work hard to contain our costs on an annual basis. And and from a financial standpoint, we're in a pretty good position compared to most schools out there. But it's still challenging, the new model, because now we have a new $20.5 million line item from a rev share standpoint, which I think is the right thing to do. We're going to fully fund it, but we got to have that money come from somewhere. And so it's a bit of a tightrope you're walking right now, and we're going to do everything we can to support our student athletes to make sure we have the fiscal responsibility that we need to have, and be able to have a very competitive environment within our athletic department.
All right, so he didn't give an official answer on if these other sports could be on the chopping block. Now, he did mention, men and women's tennis, about $1 million per deficit, respectively. But he said that was the smallest loss that they were seeing from those 19. He said 19 sports that lose money outside of football and basketball. So he didn't give an answer, which to me could be a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's probably him saying, he maybe hasn't made a decision, but he's probably obviously considering anything that he's got to do. Excuse me, sorry, I just sneezed. But obviously, you wonder what direction they end up going with to come up with that money, because he said they got to find a way. But the good news is they are going to fully fund it. Obviously, you got to do that to be competitive, but we'll see kind of how that looks. Welcome in. Is that Bama in 2025? Welcome in. I see Tay also joined. But yeah, so I will probably play this whole interview tomorrow. We'll play most of it tomorrow because I definitely want to hear more on some of the other things that he mentioned in there. But it just makes you wonder what those other sports, I guess what the future of some of those other sports could be. And also, what measures are they going to take to raise some more of that money, right? I mean, I don't know if they asked him in that interview. I haven't listened to it, obviously, but did he mention potential, ticket prices being increased? Did he mention maybe them, doing some other measures to come up with that? I don't know. I probably should just text him or reach out to him and see if he'll just come on here. We can just ask him directly. I'm sure he's probably got a lot of people trying to reach out, but Greg's my guy. I think we could probably make that happen. So maybe we'll try to do that as well. Just recapping some of these comments as we wind things down. Let's see. Carson says it's been a problem of the have-beens and the have-nots. Difference in the level of maturity of each stepping stone within the sport, in my opinion. I guess you're talking about some recruits. How do you pronounce it? Is it Jure Edwards? Sorry, guys. Some of these names are getting tough to pronounce, man. It's everything but a lock to sign with Bama. We did, speaking of recruiting news, we did pick up an offensive lineman recruit. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. I got like 30 seconds. I'll Google real quick. But I forgot to mention that. We don't really cover recruiting as much just because we talked about that. But we did get a 4-star offensive tackle in Sam Utu. I believe it's how you pronounce last name. But he committed to Alabama. So shout out to him. And Carson says, absolute dog. I'll go pull up his tape, man. I always love getting some dogs on the offensive line. So I have to go back and watch that. That being said, we got to wrap things up. We got T-Town Sports and Wyatt Fulton coming up next. Tomorrow we'll continue all things Bama, NIL related, you name it. Plus, I'm sure some other developments will come out. We'll continue to discuss that. Plus, we'll hear from Greg Byrne tomorrow in full right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Support Experts. We'll see you guys tomorrow.